So guys, we just gone over the voter registration weekend. We saw political parties and politicians out in full force begging South Africans to vote for their political parties. These people are promising people things, man. You know, the time for promises has begun, man. We're gonna give you free healthcare, you're gonna get free education, you're gonna get the best security, you and your family gonna be safe, the jobs are coming back, your children will be employed. Politicians are promising South Africans heaven and earth right now, and I cannot blame them. I cannot blame them, and this is the way for them to make their own money, and this is how they make their living. I cannot blame them. And I was also out and about pretending to be this important media guy, trying to have conversations with political parties. I remember one of the things that I did, I went to a station where I normally vote because I wanted to have conversations with the political parties that were there. But unfortunately, only two political parties were there, only ANC and the EFF. I went to the EFF tent. The EFF was okay with me having a conversation with them, but their spokesperson was not there at the moment. So I went to the African National Congress tent, and you know how the comrades are. So basically, the ANC didn't want to have a conversation with me. They just blew me on the side. So while I was there, disappointed at the ruling party and not wanting to have a conversation with me, that's when I saw the former mayor of Ekurhuleni, Mzwandile Masina, arrive. And I honestly thought I was going to get 5 minutes, at least with Mzwandile Masina, but I didn't get 5 minutes with Mzwandile Masina. The ANC held him for such a long time, and I had to go because I had already booked an appointment with the Patriotic Alliance. So fortunately, I got to speak with the Patriotic Alliance, with one of the spokesperson for Patriotic Alliance, Fezile Sonkwala. It is our second interview. If you haven't seen the first interview, please make sure that you go on the playlist down that says Your Voice. You will see the first interview that I did with the Fezile Sonkwala. So we just did the second interview. So after that, I went straight to Temba because Rise Mzansi invited me to go there. So I went to Rise Mzansi. That is when I got to meet one of their top brass men. I got to meet one of the top leaders there in Rise Mzansi. I'll see Estapadi. She's one of the top leaders there at Rise Mzansi. We got to have a conversation. We got to do an interview. And guys, I'm hoping that I'm gonna be able to release these footages very soon, man. I just working on the sound. You know how it's like shooting outside, but it's fine. We're gonna release the interviews very soon. If there's one thing again that I've noticed over the weekend is that many people actually didn't go to the voting stations, man. Many people were basically not even engaging with the political parties, man. You would think that the political parties sending their people out to sit on the streets, man, to go and sit where people actually vote. People would actually go to those political parties and say, guys, what are you going to bring us now? I know many political parties will tell you that you will never see many people at the booth at the stations now, because now people are registering online. Everything has been done online. But right here, we know that, man, we are realistic. We know that the majority of the people in the country, they don't have the internet. So if you don't see a lot of people at these stations, just know that many people are actually not going, man. People are not interested in going to the polls again in 2024. I don't know if South Africans actually realize how important these elections are. I don't think South Africans realize that if we vote wrong one more time, South Africa is basically done. So guys, back to the show. It looks like the African National Congress is tired of sending Fikile Mbalula to go and embarrass the party. Now they are sending his deputy, Nomvula Mokonyane. They're sending his deputy, Nomvula Mokonyane, man. Nomvula Mokonyane did this interview recently with the newsroom, and people are not happy about what the African National Congress through Nomvula Mokonyane has basically said. Nomvula Mokonyane went to this interview, man, to tell South Africans that, guys, the African National Congress did not put a deadline on anything. We didn't say that in 30 years your lives would be better. We didn't say that in 30 years you would not see crime. In 30 years you would have a better health care. In 30 years your children would have better education. In 30 years you would see employment in South Africa. We didn't say that. South Africans are the ones that projected us on us. This is why today South Africans, every time when they talk about the African National Congress, they always mention the fact that the ANC has been in charge for 30 years and the African National Congress never put a deadline on anything. African National Congress never put a deadline on anything. So guys, stop bothering the African National Congress. Stop bothering the ANC. Stop telling the ANC that the ANC has been in charge for 30 years, because the ANC is telling you that we didn't say that in 30 years your children would have better education. We didn't say that in 30 years you would have employment. We didn't say in 30 years you would have electricity. You projected that on us, and now you think that we're going to live by your projections. No, we are not going to do that.
It is young people who are saying, let's look at the banking sector in South Africa. It can't be a monopoly that continues to be like this. Let's see how we use all these grants and resources, funds that come from government. How do we make sure that we have a better state bank that can be able to distribute, that can be able to absorb, unlike what we are going through now with the retrenchments in the post bank. It is the young people, thanks to the PYA, that is now functioning, participating, and not only looking at who becomes a member of parliament, but talking to the things that can really unlock the problems of high unemployment rate of young people.
So
You know one thing, man. The African National Congress thinks you are stupid. The African National Congress thinks the people of this country are stupid. So Nomvula Mokonyane is going to go on an interview live on national television and say that thanks to this African National Congress Youth League, the ANC can now deal with these issues. Thanks to the African National Congress Youth League, the ANC can now start looking into the banks and the corruption that the banks are doing. Thanks to the African National Congress Youth League, the ANC can now start having conversations about South Africa processing its own mineral resources. Nomvula Mokonyane is basically telling South Africans that we must thank and applaud the ANC Youth League for talking about things that the South Africans have been talking about for the past 30 years. I mean, like right now, if the ANC Youth League comes out and says the African National Congress needs to clamp down on corruption, the African National Congress needs to guard its borders, Nomvula Mokonyane will go on a national platform and say that South Africans, all of you must bend the knee, because the ANC Youth League came with a very, very crucial solution that we must guard the borders. The ANC Youth League said that we must clamp down on corruption, despite the South Africans are talking about these things for the past 30 years. She wants the South Africans to applaud the ANC Youth League for talking about things that people have been talking about for the past 30 years. It's unfortunately, guys, that we can laugh at these things. Many of us here, we can hear what Nomvula Mokonyane is talking about is nonsense. But unfortunately, in South Africa, many people in this country, they are uneducated. Many people in the country, they are depending on the African National Congress. So whatever the ANC says, they are going to swallow it. They are going to swallow it. But people like us, we can actually hear that this is nonsense. This is nonsense. There is nothing new that the African National Congress Youth League has said. There is nothing new that the political parties are saying. All political parties are saying the same thing. We need to clamp down on corruption. We need to make sure that we get load shedding under order. We need to make sure that our state-owned entities are performing. We need to improve the government. We need to improve the government capacity. All of the political parties are saying the same thing. So you can't tell us to applaud the ANC Youth League for talking about something that people have been talking about over the past 30 years.
And it's that ANC Youth League that must be commended.
But I hear, and I mean,
imagine commending people. Imagine commending people, man, for talking about things that we have been talking about. Imagine right now commending Ramaphosa when Ramaphosa says that we're going to clamp down on corruption. Many people have been saying the ANC needs to clamp down on corruption. You saying that the ANC needs to clamp down on corruption, it is nothing new. It is nothing new. She says that we must commend the ANC Youth League. The whole ANC, they didn't know that people were having these conversations. The whole ANC, they didn't know that people were having these conversations that why is South Africa not processing its own minerals? Why is South they didn't know that average people on the streets were having these conversations. And thanks to the ANC Youth League of Colin Malachi, now the ANC can see the matters that are really important in the country. And you South Africans must commend the African National Congress Youth League for that.
And it's that ANC Youth League that must be commended.
But I hear, and I mean, obviously, if you look at issues like education, you look at issues of jobs and houses, load shedding, which is a big problem. Some of us couldn't watch Bafana last night because we had load shedding. One then argues, Nomvula, that, but you've had 30 years.
Of course.
You've had 30 years to give me free education. You've had 30 years to make sure that young people have jobs. You've had 30 years to do this thing. Why is it taking so long? Why has it taken this long?
But you know, you must also complete what you are saying.
Yes.
You have had 30 years and there are millions that have benefited. Agree?
Yes.
You have 30 years.
And like, what are those benefits that Nomvula Mokonyane is talking about? Guys, if you know of the benefits that Nomvula Mokonyane is talking about, please write them on the comment section. Please tell me on the comment section.
With millions
And tell me how those benefits actually have improved people's lives.
having benefited. And because of what has been a problem of South Africa, that was not 30 years. Years and years of inequality. Years and years of dispossession. Years and years of an untransformed economy. We can't, and we have never said, but come the 27th of April 2024, we would have emancipated our people economically. Nobody had said that. What we have said is that we must continue to work better together with the people of South Africa. Come the 27th of April 2024, transformed economy. We can't, and we have never said, but come the 27th of April 2024, we would have emancipated our people economically. No.
Guys, this is what the African National Congress is telling you. That we have never said that in 30 years you would have a good life. We have never said that in 30 years your children would have better education. We didn't say that in 30 years you would have good healthcare. We didn't say that in 30 years you would have good infrastructure. We didn't say in 30 years you would not have electricity, you would not have load shedding. We didn't promise you all of these things. You guys are simply projecting your own emotions on the African National Congress. You guys are the ones who are talking about 30 years. And basically, because the African National Congress, because the ANC or because South Africa comes from apartheid, the ANC needs more 30 years. The ANC needs more 30 years. They didn't say that in 30 years they would have given South Africans all of these things. In 30 years, the cadres had to take care of themselves. The African National Congress cadres had to eat. They had to pay themselves for the suffering they took in apartheid. So for South Africans to actually expect the African National Congress to do anything for them, it's unfair. In 30 years, South Africans must give the ANC another 30 years. This is what Nomvula Mokonyane is telling you. Give us another 30 years. Give us another 30 years, because we didn't promise you that in 30 years we would have emancipated you economically. They are telling you in your face, man. You know what I love about the ANC right now? They are telling you in your face. Fikile Mbalula told you that we lied to you. Nomvula Mokonyane right now is telling you that 30 years, it is not enough. 30 years, it is not enough. You remember in Joburg when those hijacked buildings, when one of the hijacked buildings caught fire, the Minister of Social Development, Lindiwe Zulu, got there and said that it is unfair for South Africans to expect the African National Congress to have fixed everything in 30 years. So this is an official policy of the African National Congress. 30 years, it is not enough. Give us another 30 years. Give us another 30 years. The African National Congress thinks you are stupid, man. And these people, they think you are stupid. They think you are stupid. I love how they categorize their track record as mistakes. They talk about mistakes, man. You know, mistakes is spilling a cup over, man. Mistakes is like destroying people's lives. It is not a mistake. Having load shedding in the country, it is not a mistake. The African National Congress right now, they are not even talking about the real implications of load shedding, man. They are not talking about the fact that people are being slaughtered on the streets because it's dark because of load shedding. They are not talking about the fact that average South Africans are losing their appliances because of load shedding and they have no one to complain to. They are not talking about the fact that the small businesses are being destroyed because of load shedding. These are real implications of load shedding, and these are implications that the African National Congress is not talking about. They are not talking about them. So they are saying it is a mistake. It is not a mistake. Someone having their business destroyed because of your incompetence, it is not a mistake. This is the same thing that Fikile Mbalula said last week, that the ANC has made a lot of mistakes in the past. Thabo Mbeki, not Thabo Mbeki, Moeletsi Mbeki came out Moeletsi Mbeki came out and said that the ANC has done a lot of mistakes in the past, and one of the mistakes that the ANC has done was to neglect the borders. Today, South Africa is having many problems, especially with illegal immigrants. It is because the ANC has made a mistake of neglecting the borders. So this is an official line from the African National Congress, that all of these things that people are accusing us of are mistakes. They are mistakes. Nomvula Mokonyane is telling you right in your face that we didn't say that in 30 years we would have improved your life. We never said that in 30 years we would have improved your life. Guys, I don't know. Please tell me what you think on the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part is subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.